The In This League Podcast Network.
It's In This League at Bet This League. It's Bet This League with Bogman and the Welsh. It's the Friday edition, the brand new one. We were doing the cheat sheet episode inside of our Thursday podcast, which made it nice and long. We just decided, let's just take that, put it in. The cheat sheet is now Bet This League. Bogman and I are going to be rocking all of our top bets for the week, which we're not just doing 5. We've got 10 of our top bets, some of our favorite DFS plays. We're even going to talk about where some of that money is going across the bets. And Bogman, as always, you've always done, your 5 most exploitable matchups for this weekend, and people can take this for however they want it. They can turn it into props. They can turn it into the games stuff. They can turn it into DFS, however it is. So check us out, inthisleague.com. That is our Patreon, patreon.com/ITLArmy, where we've got all the things. Bogman's got his weekly ranks. I've got my prop bet sheet that's on there. We have got an ITL betting room, which I can tell you, some hardcore good gamblers in there that are sharing their picks. They're sharing their results. You guys can get in on that. We've got football rooms. We've got GroupMe rooms and everything. It's similar to Discord or whatever everybody uses. We've just been using GroupMe for a long time. You guys can get in there. You can get access to us, and we've got tons of other cool stuff. Patreon.com/ITLArmy or inthisleague.com to join up and support your boys. This is just a nice extension of the In This League Fantasy Football Podcast, Bogman, and I pass it to you for 5 exploitable Week 4 matchups.
Yeah, and if you guys saw me roll my eyes, I was double checking to see my very first one that I have here, and it's Najee Harris and Ben Roethlisberger for the Steelers offense. They cannot run to save their lives. So especially if you're in a PPR league or, however you're doing it, half PPR, doesn't really matter. Najee had 19 targets last week and 14 catches. It's just crazy. It's an absurd amount.
As we're recording this, they still haven't updated. I'm going to look right now. I'm going to go over on DraftKings.
They don't want to do it. Because they know they're going to go too
it.
low, so they don't want to put it on there. So,
well, I just don't think they know if they want to go 5, because they can't go more than 5.5. They can't. I mean, I see his rushing yards. Yeah, they still haven't posted it.
I bet
we're
you
recording
they don't put
this
it on
on
there.
Thursday.
I'll
bet you it'll be up there, but I think it's going to be something along the lines of this. It'll be like 5. It could be okay. It could be 6.5 with.
It's going to be minus
numbers.
240.
No, it'll be like 6.5 plus 130. Or it'll be 5.5 minus 150. Like, they're going to go somewhere in there, which I got to be honest with you. Like, if I could get 4.5, I want that. I don't want it at like minus 150, but if I can get like 4.5, I'm jumping all over it when it pops. But I have a feeling they're going to wait it out and they're going to push it to like 5.5 or 6.5. Even that, those are like McCaffrey type ones. And they just give you bad odds on it, which sucks because you'd love to play that one after 19 targets.
I know, man. And look,
I want to.
For fantasy pros, this is what I was rolling my eyes at. For this week, they've got, and look, the Steelers are going to get crushed. I have no feelings of this. Oh, the Steelers might pull this one off. I do not think that at all, right? It's just not in my brain. But to have Roethlisberger at 29 among quarterbacks when he threw the ball 58 times last week. Now, look, he still finished 23rd because he threw 2 picks. He's never going to run all that stuff as far as points go, but he's going to throw more than 1 touchdown this week, I think, against Green Bay.
As long as his face isn't in the ground, that was my biggest.
Well, it's going to be constantly in the ground, but who cares? It doesn't matter if he's a good quarterback. You don't care if he's a good quarterback. All you want are his fantasy points. That's it. And the Steelers can't run the ball. They're going to be losing in this game. He's going to throw it 1,000,000 times.
And he's got Deontay back.
Deontay's back.
Yeah,
Juju might be back. We'll see. So maybe he gets all those guys. They're going to design the whole game around passing the ball. So I like Roethlisberger at much higher than 29, and he's cheap in DFS. If you're looking between him and another crappy quarterback like who would you rather go with? Trevor Lawrence, who threw yesterday. So maybe bad idea. Okay,
yeah, because I don't know.
Okay, how about Mac Jones? How about Mac Jones against Tampa Bay or Roethlisberger against Green Bay?
I mean, Green Bay's got, as far as passing yards allowed, Green Bay's inside the top 10 so far.
Jared Goff against Chicago or Ben Roethlisberger against Green Bay.
I still go Roethlisberger. Deontay coming back, I think, is going to be a big deal. And I don't know. I mean, like second. I mean, I am not we're doing bet this league. This is us. We're talking betting for fun. We are not like hey, put the crazy amount of units. Like we're not. I mean, we're dickheads, but we're not those type of dickheads. But like from my vantage point, I would be looking at second half scoring on Pittsburgh because I think they're going to be coming from behind.
Jacoby
Brissett.
Brissett.
I'll take Roethlisberger.
Jacoby Brissett or Roethlisberger. They've got the Colts.
Yeah, I would go Roethlisberger still. I'm with you.
Danny Dimes against New Orleans. These guys are all ranked ahead of him on Fantasy Pros. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, this
is bottom barrel. And look, Danny might run, so I understand that. But I don't know. I think Roethlisberger is underrated this week, and Najee is just
so Roethlisberger is your exploiting matchup.
Yeah, well, him and Najee. Against Green Bay because they should be losing and passing the ball a bunch.
Okay.
Just the passing game for Pittsburgh in general. 49ers run game. And I know we're not 100% sure who's going to be running the ball. The Seahawks are god-awful against the run. They got beat by Derrick Henry 2 weeks ago. And Madison, they're 30th in rush yards per game on defense, 155 yards per game they're giving up right now, which is just not great. It's not ideal. The Niners run the ball. I don't care if it's Juice out there running the ball, Kyle Juszczyk. I don't care if it's Jacques Patrick. I don't care if it's Patrick from SpongeBob. It doesn't make any difference who's running the ball. The Seahawks are not stopping it. So
did you just do the LeBron? Did you just do an audio LeBron meme where you're just Lakers in 6?
Yeah, Lakers in 4. Yeah.
Is that what you just did?
Yeah, I did. And then look, the Chargers are worse than the Seahawks. They're dead last in rushing yards per game, 170. They're giving up. Josh Jacobs came back to practice yesterday on Thursday. Looked pretty good. Looks like he's going to be good to go. So Josh Jacobs probably going to be low owned since he's questionable. If for whatever reason he gets hurt in practice and they go back to Peyton Barber, we talked about it on the Thursday show. Peyton Barber looked pretty spry the other day. So I like that matchup as well. And then, I mean, there were so many ones that I like, but they're in bad matchups. Like I love the Chicago passing game because they're playing against Detroit, but who is the quarterback? We don't know if it's Fields. We don't know if it's Andy Dalton is practicing, who they said he's definitely the guy. And stupid Nagy threw in Foles. But look, Allen Robinson's as cheap as he's going to be in DFS this week, and I like him.
I mean, this is put up or shut up. This is shit or get off the pot time.
100%. And I'm absolutely with you on that. And I understand that. But Allen Robinson, we've said it a bunch of times. He's made loser quarterbacks look good for a while. He hasn't looked good yet. They got nothing. Remember, Marquise Brown, 3 hit him right in his dick beaters, and he dropped them all. He could have scored on all of those passes. So I think that Allen Robinson should go buck this game as long as someone can hit him in the hands with the football.
Yeah, it's funny because like he is uber talented, but it's that same thing that I'm dealing with Robbie Anderson. Like I said it on ITL Football. We had Andrew Erickson on. I was just like, I don't have a bunch of analysis for you. Robbie Anderson's just got to break through. I assume Diggs is going to be on DJ Moore, and there's going to be a big focus there. They've talked about wanting to get the ball to Robbie Anderson. He's a guy for me this week. He's a DFS play for me this week. And I think the same thing goes for Allen Robinson because it's like, are we going to go a quarter of the season and he's going to have 30 yards a game? Like, it's got to break through. Dalton coming back, I think, is good for him. If Dalton does play. Fields, I just have no idea how they're going to move the offense. I feel less confident about that. But I'm with you in the idea that, like, he's got to have that breakout game, and this seems like the matchup to do it.
And then, Tennessee wide receivers, which unfortunately it looks like we're not getting AB or AJ Brown or, I guess he's kind of AB, AJ Brown or Julio this week. It's not guaranteed. It's not trending. It's not trending that way.
Yeah, I agree.
But Nick Westbrook is cheap. I'm going to talk about his price on DraftKings a little bit later. And maybe Ferkser. And look, Henry's been catching a couple balls out of the backfield as well. So I just like this passing game. Tannehill has a low total as well because those guys are hurt. But they're playing the Jets, and the Jets are terrible. So it's these good exploitable matchups, but they're not with really trustworthy players. So you kind of have to, you got to take a spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down this week as far as those matchups go. And then the last one I like is Rams and Cardinals weapons. I think this is another put up or shut up for Robert Woods, right? If he doesn't perform against this secondary, and I think it's a mirage that the Cardinals are 12th in passing yards this year. I do not think they're going to stay there. This is not a good this is not a good team against the pass. I don't think. I think Byron Murphy is, he's got dusted a bunch. I know he had 2 picks last week. One went for a touchdown. Name me an easier pick 6 that anyone has ever had in the NFL, right? It was such a terrible call on that flea flicker. Trevor Lawrence has been ass so far. So,
ass.
I do.
Like, we're recording before the Thursday night game. How much ass do you think he was last night? Was this like Kardashian ass, or was
no? I thought. Just for him to get to the escalator of sadness was my favorite thing about the game last night.
What's
that? Was awesome.
What's that one Instagram girl that does the videos?
I don't know which one. There's a lot of them. So I don't know
there's a
which
very
one you're
specific one. I cannot remember. York. Yeah, I don't know. It's some weird name too. Very, very specific. Somebody knows.
Okay.
I'll do some research and find out.
Yeah,
I'll do a little bit of research for you, and I'll find out exactly what
maybe send me some samples of that one too. So
how much ass it specifically is.
But it is he's been rough so far. So now they're going to have to face Matt Stafford, who's not screwing around this year. He looks unstoppable. So I like Van Jefferson. I like Robert Woods. I obviously like Cooper Kupp. Hopkins against Ramsey's a little iffy, but it's going to make us like AJ Green. It's going to make us like Christian Kirk. Maybe even Max Williams, and maybe
Rondell.
Rondell Moore is going to get involved again too. So those are probably my favorites for this week as far as matchups go.
And you and I, sometimes you just fall into it. This is narrative-based weekend. It's like, can Robert Woods, Allen Robinson, and Robbie Anderson all be horrible for an entire month of the season? We're betting not. We're betting against it for the most part. So there you go.
Well, look, I think Robert Woods and Robbie Anderson too. You can throw him in there because the game script should go his way. I think there's positives all for them. It's not just they got to get going, so they're going to get going. I don't think that's not even what we're saying here. It's where your logic goes. But then when you look at the matchup, you go, look, Detroit is a great matchup for Allen Robinson to get going. The Panthers finally having to go punch for punch in a game is a good reason why Robbie Anderson could tick it up. And the same deal for the Rams against the Cardinals. It's the same deal for Bobby Trees. So let's get these guys rolling.
Yeah. The 5 exploitable matchups, Ben Roethlisberger, Najee Harris, the 49ers run game, Peyton Barber, Josh Jacobs, whichever one is going on. The matchups that are great, but you can't depend on: Chicago's passing game against Detroit and Tennessee's wide receivers against the Jets. And, of course, the Rams and Cardinal weapons, Robert Woods, Christian Kirk, those guys. Those are the exploitable matchups by Bogman, and I dig it. And it is time that we do some picks. We're going to actually look at where some of the money is going. We've got our top 5 picks and even take a little bit of a lookie at some DFS values and some plays as we set lineups right here on Bet This League.
The In This League Podcast Network.
Oh, Boggs, it's going to be really fun to see. Are we a fade or play show? Is this show going to be a fade or play show? Now, I will tell you, though, before you go straight fade, we do have everything tracked that we do on the shows. And again, this singular show that we're now putting out was just a segment we were doing on the football podcast.
We're the opposite of Eli and Peyton, right? So we're not going to stop week 3. They're going to come back, but there he is. There's Eli right there. So I love it.
Wait, I got to do the Eli, well, I can't say what type of face that is, but wait, I got a contest. Here's a contest. Let's do this. Get your hair out. Get your hair out real quick. Oh boy, I got some interesting hair going before I ask what I want done. All right. And then let's both do it. And then let's have people vote who does the better Eli Manning. All right. And go. All right, perfect. Yours is pretty good, actually. So now we have to have that screenshotted and tell us who did the better Eli Manning in that one. But we'll see where like I said, the fade or play goes. But last week, so we were tracking these, and we always track this stuff for plays of the week, for our bets of the week. And you did great last week on the football pod side because your 5 bets, you were 4-1. You hit Carolina, you hit the Green Bay San Francisco over, you hit Arizona, and you hit New Orleans New England under. You were very heavy game scripted. The only thing you didn't hit was your one prop, which was Sterling Shepard, because he got banged
he got
up.
hurt in the first quarter. That dick.
He got banged up. I was 3-2, so we were both over 500. The Saquon Barkley rushing yard one just absolutely killed me. 61.5. I think he finished right around 50. That I lost. And the Atlanta Giants over, I had at 47.5. I really thought two just bad teams were going to just beat each other up. That did not happen. What I did hit was Green Bay plus 3.5, which I even said money line. Claypool over 51.5 yards. Whew, absolutely nail. And Eckler over 39.5 receiving yards. So if I'm looking at, let me go back to the sheet here. I was a 2-1 from a prop perspective and a 1-1 from a game perspective, but 3-2. So we're both over 500 last week on those bets. Those were our top 5 bets. We're now moving it to a 10 bet thing, the stuff that we like here. And I would remind over on Patreon, again, if you guys care, you could play, you can fade. Don't take anything too serious that ITL ever does, but you get to follow along and have fun if you want to do it. I do have a prop sheet that I post up on Fridays, which has got, I tier them in 3 areas. I'm not going to do the unit stuff because that's not my decision. I'm just tiers. Like, here are the ones I really like, and usually tier 1s I have bets on. I'll usually sprinkle in some of my tier 2s, and if I'm feeling lucky, tier 3 is just the riskier ones, is how I see it. And I track those. I'm over 50% in both of the weeks, all 3 weeks technically that I've done it. I've posted live the last 2 weeks, but last week was a little bit rougher. So we've got that sheet on our Patreon if people want to check out. And of course, we've got the bets. Now, before we get to our bets though, Boggs, we pulled this together, and obviously you've got to go find the place to do this. So we're not going to give you exact numbers or anything like that. But I pulled the overwhelming, you and I pulled the overwhelming 90% or over where the money's going in games this week, just as a perspective. So you can, if you want to do straight games or if it's props, however it is, because that's how our top bets are. These, as we are recording this, and they can change. So much so, we saw one from I think Wednesday or Thursday go from a 60%, it was over 60% in favor of this one side, to flipping to 90% over on this other side. This is where the money is going. And these are the 7. There are 7 plays that have 90% or more of the money going to. So majority, if you will. So here they are, Boggs. And you tell me how much you like. You're gonna say play or fade the majority game bets for this week, where the money is being played. This is not where the action necessarily is. This is where the money is. Number 1, Giants New Orleans over big time, 41.5. 41.5 over 90% of the action. Play or fade?
I just don't like that game. I'll fade that one.
You don't? So you don't like that? Okay. Because this is something, if people wanted to play, if they want to know where all the money is, you could parlay it, you could play you want, but this is where the majority of the money is. So you don't like that one. So you're fading that. I'm also indifferent about that one. I guess I would fade as well. No, I'm going to go over. It's just such a low number. I'm just a sucker. I can't play the under on something like that if I had to pick one. But
that was which game? One more time.
Giants New Orleans.
Yeah, I've got the under. So
I personally have the over, so I'll take the over. So I guess I'll play it. You'll fade it on the over where that's going. Baltimore, Denver, heavy over, 44.5. Remember, all of these are 90% of the money or more is on that. Baltimore,
44.5 is too low. I've got the over on that. Yeah.
Okay, so we're both going to play that one. Tampa Bay, New England. Tampa Bay favored by 7.
Love that one.
Yep, and these are all the public love money, the money love. Also play that. I guess I'm going to probably play the majority of these. Arizona, Rams, under at 55. I'm actually going to fade this one. I am
too. I don't have a good lean either way, but I did take the under.
Yeah, and I don't actually remember what I took on the show, but this is just one. If we're really talking about what I want to play or fade,
what you're going to chase,
this is one I would fade. I'll play those first 3. I would fade this one. Detroit at Chicago over.
Yeah, I mean, I picked the over, so
I'm going to play that one.
I like that one. It's just the number's so low of 42. Like,
I know. I'm a
can
sucker
Chicago possibly look that bad again? I don't think they can. Not against Detroit.
I like David Montgomery a lot this week. You like Allen Robinson. I think by virtue of those, you gotta, suckers for the 41 and 42. Baltimore at, we already had that one. I had that one twice, I guess. Then I guess the last one. So there's only 6 that have the 90% more money action. Seattle, San Francisco, under.
I have the under on that.
I but I would fade it. So
okay, I mean, you can agree with it and still not like to bet on it. So
yeah, well, that's what the player fade is. It's not even about your pick. So I would play, if I'm playing, the New Orleans over, the Baltimore over, Tampa Bay by 7, and Detroit over, and I'm fading the Rams under and the Niners under. I'm essentially fading the under in the NFC West.
I like it. Yeah.
What about you? And you were fading. I feel like you were fading more.
Yeah. Look, I'm always going to fade a decent amount because there's very few that I feel super confident. I'll give you my opinion.
Which of the plays of those were you?
Well, we're going to talk about some of them in our next segment.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I see one of them, but of the ones, just really quickly, you liked the Tampa, liked the
Bay.
Detroit.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
Detroit. I like, yeah, that is. I kind of like the under in San Francisco. So just because I don't, Seattle's defense is so bad. San Francisco should really play clock management football in that game.
Yeah, and they can start slow, and that's why, like, again, those 6, that's where heavy money is going. I like 4 of them, but the NFC West ones I think are really difficult to manage because there's some great defenses, there's some bad defenses, but there's also some really slow off. San Francisco's offense can start so slow, but if Seattle's going to be that bad and they're playing point for point, it's up in the air. So that is where the heavy money is going. Top 10 bets. These are our 10 bets for week 4, Boggs, and we'll just go 1-1 here, and I'll let you start.
I got the Bucks -7 against New England. I think this is Brady going in and absolutely hammering his old team, the Patriots. I love that bet. It's my favorite of the week. So Tampa Bay -7. Easy.
I actually took this bet at a little bit under this line, so you're getting even better. And this one has kept continuously fluctuated. I just want to point out it was 50.5. It moved up to 52.5. It's now moved down to 51.5. Dallas, Carolina under. And the reason I like this instantly was because of Carolina's defense. Now, Horn, there's a big question in there. I think Dallas, though they've picked up their feet a little bit, they can really show some inconsistency lines. I think Carolina can score some points, but Carolina's without a running back. So if you start, it's Carolina's defense, and then you've got Carolina's offense against a bad defense, how are they all going to mesh? If you have bad drives by Carolina, you're punting, and you have great defense by Carolina stopping the Dallas Cowboys offense, I just don't think we're going to have the crazy shootout that we normally see. If we see a lot of Zeke, we might have a lot on the ground, a lot of screen pass type of things. I think we're going to have some in and outs. It's become a bigger number. It was over 50. It's staying over 50, and I like the under. So Dallas, Carolina, I get 51.5 now, even though I will tell you, I personally have a bet at 50.5, which I wish I could take that. I wish I could take that back. Bet number 2.
Bet number 2 for me is going to be Tennessee -7 against the Jets. The Jets are miserable. I don't know why the Titans are only getting 7. I'm sure it's because Brown and Julio might not play. I don't care. Give the ball to Derrick Henry 50 times. He'll run for 250 yards and 6 touchdowns. I mean, the Jets are so terrible right now. So give me the Titans minus the points.
I don't know if this one has changed, and I think I'm willing to take a little bit more just in case, but one of my favorite bets of the week is Cordell Patterson receiving yards prop, which was at 27.5. So likely, pending when you're listening to this could move up. I'd still take it under 30 at this point. Patterson, if you take away the first game, which, them getting under themselves, he's had 7 targets in each of the last 2 games. He's had at least 5 catches in the last 2, and he's averaged right around 65, 70 yards between those 2. 58 yards against Tampa Bay, 82 yards against the Giants, 5-6 catches. He's averaging over double-digit yards per reception. So just by the virtue of that, 3 receptions on Patterson, you're going to hit this. I don't think his receiving prop is like 2.5. I want to say it's probably 3.5 at this point. So I like Patterson 27.5. It was on DK. It was -115. Even if I could get it to 29.5, I'm still going to take it.
The next one for me is going to be Denver -1 against Baltimore. I don't understand. Look, Baltimore is the better team, right? And I say that every day. I think they're better than Denver. Denver is playing so much better than Baltimore. Also have played bad teams. I get that too. But Baltimore traveled to Detroit, had to kick a 66-yard field goal to win that game. And now they have to go to Denver at altitude and play. Lamar's back, flaring up a little bit. I just like the Broncos to win this game. I think they win by a touchdown. So give me Denver -1 at home.
I'm literally we talked about this on the show. I literally put this bet in as we speak because I didn't have time to do it. I liked it so much. My third bet is Deebo Samuel rushing yards 2.5. Love that bet. He didn't get any receiving or any rushing yards last game, but he received 2 attempts, and I believe one of them was for negative yards, which took him off. Against Philly, he had 2 rushing attempts for 8 yards in there. Boom. They love to do end arounds on him. I also think Ayuk, if they don't have it up, but if they had an Ayuk one at that, I would do the same thing. This team is decimated at running back. Seattle cannot defend the run whatsoever. They ran an end around with George Kittle in the last game. They did it with Ayuk. They're going to get the ball in Deebo's hand. 2.5 rushing yards. Give it to me. 2 attempts in each of the last 2 games. Really, really like this one. This is just about anything. He just needs that 1 attempt. Deebo Samuel rushing yards 2.5. If it gets up to like 4.5, 5.5, something like that, but I like it, even though it's not the best pay odds as far as the minus goes. But that's number 3. Deebo rushing yards 2.5.
For me, I'm going to go with Ryan Tannehill over 220.5 passing yards. That total is just too low. I know Brown and Julio might be out. I don't really care. Ryan Tannehill can make it work. He's made it work in worse environments than this, and 220 passing yards for a quarterback in the NFL against one of the worst defenses in the NFL is just too low a total. I'm going to go over Ryan Tannehill, 220.5.
I like that one. Number 4 for me, I'm going with Kyle Pitts' longest reception, 19.5 on DK. He has had a longer reception in each of the last 3 games. He went from 18 to 24 to 25. He's averaged more yards per reception in each game. He's got Washington coming up. He had 8. Now the targets have gone down. So that's an interesting thing that's happened. The targets have gone down while the yards per reception and the length of receptions have gone up. He has to be more involved in this offense. They're going to get him back the ball. Give me Kyle Pitts under 20-yard longest reception. Thank you very much.
For me, I'm going to stick in that game. And look, it's annoying, but why don't we make some money off of it? Cordell Patterson over 3.5 receptions. I love that bet. It is
3.5. Okay, good.
They keep giving him 7 to 8 targets a game plus some rushes. He's just involved every single game. So 3.5 is easy for me. I think Cordell Patterson gets that just because, if he doesn't get it, it probably means they're going back to Mike Davis. So let's win somewhere on this idiot. I love it.
You just made me laugh with that. Number 5 on this one. I'm now noticing all these bets I have in here. Number 5, this one, we were talking with Andrew Erickson about some of the PFF tools that they use, and I can't even remember the name that they had, but do you remember what it was? It was the yards per pass attempt rule that they had, or per route run. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
And Dawson Knox, and Andrew specifically was talking about how they use it to kind of value tight ends. It's tight ends per pass attempt that are outrunning routes. And Dawson Knox was one of the top tight ends in passing attempts that is outrunning routes, not just sitting there blocking, which opens up opportunities. Dawson Knox has had over 40 yards in 2 of the 3 games this year. One of them was against Miami, where he only had 17, but Washington and Pittsburgh, he had 4 receptions each for over 40 yards. And this week, you can get Dawson Knox receiving yard prop at 23.5 versus Houston, where Josh Allen is going to light them up. That is one of my tier 1s, by the way. Dawson Knox, 23.5 receiving yards.
I like that one. How about Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 13.5 receiving yards? I love these low totals because, look, if you don't hit this, you can live with it. You took a low total and it just didn't hit. I'm fine with that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire can get this on 1 catch. So typically am going to like props for receiving yards for running backs and tight ends because the total is set so low. So because Clyde Edwards can get this on one reception, I'm going to take it over 13.5 receiving yards.
I'm with you. My next one is another one of those, and I've actually taken this one in weeks before. Jamal Williams, receiving yards prop at 15. Is it 15? 15.5. And he has done that in 2 of the 3 games. Baltimore, he had 25 yards on only 2 catches. Now the receptions and targets have gone down. He had 8 receptions against the 49ers where he had 56 yards. He had 3 catches against Green Bay. He did only muster up 12 yards. But he has had the targets. He gets the yards. They've got Chicago this week. This is a pretty good matchup. We like the over for the most part. Jamal Williams, 15.5 receiving yards. That is my, what is that, number 6?
For me, I'm going to go with a wide receiver receiving yards. I do like running backs and tight ends more, but I think this one is too low, and we've already talked about it. AJ Green over 38.5 receiving yards. Not that I like AJ Green. It's that Hopkins should get Ramsey. So he should be clamped on him the whole game. And we saw last week how Evans and Godwin both had some decent receiving yards against this Rams defense. So I think AJ Green can get 38.5 as long as he's out on that field. So
I got an easy one here. This is just a straight game line. Is I don't love a ton of these, but I love Kansas City because I hate Philadelphia. Kansas City -7. I'm not sure. I might even go a little bit more. I know that they came back from a little bit, but they're so disjointed in Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts does not look good in what they're doing. There's no uniqueness in the offense. Devontae Smith cannot get open. And when Devontae Smith can't get open in the first half, Jalen Hurts looks for Smith. If he's covered, they struggle. He tries to get it to Rager. They don't run the ball. Hurts and Goddard are the only thing that they're going with. If they can get that covered up, I don't see how Philly's offense is going to do super well against Kansas City, where I don't think Philly's defense is going to stop Kansas City at all. So even if there's some points scored, this is why that over might be really good as well. But Kansas City -7, I know they've had issues. I mean, they really hate covering the over-unders. I don't think this is an issue of covering the actual spread. Give me Kansas City -7.
Look, we talked about how I love Tom Brady in this revenge spot against New England. And I don't like most of the revenge narratives, but Brady has made points multiple times. I remember specifically, this is how long Brady's been in the league. You remember, I used to call him a Care Bear. Brent Alexander, the safety for the Steelers, he loved hugging people and not tackling them. And he talked some smack about Tom Brady before a game. And Brady made it a point to throw 3 touchdowns over his head. And that was just a guy that said something in the paper. What is he going to want to do against Bill Belichick? And he's also going to want to get those former Patriots in Gronk and AB involved. So I'm going to take the over 46.5 receiving yards for Antonio Brown, another dude that can get it all in a couple receptions here. And I like him to get in the end zone too, but this touchdown prop's a little wonky for me. So 46.5 yards, easy. Love that one.
I don't want to take that. I mean, I don't like the first down one. That's not a big one for me. You don't like that other one?
The which one?
The anytime touchdown, probably?
Not really. No, I just touchdowns are. We talk about how they're finicky going into a year. So for one game, it's just a little. I think he gets in the end zone, but I'm just not willing to bet it. That's all.
Give me Baltimore +1. They're not favored. It's in Denver. I don't think Denver is a great team. Teddy Bridgewater is unique. Their running game is not fantastic. Lamar and their inability to effectively run a whole lot worries me. But when Lamar puts the game on his back, he is explosive. And I think he's going to do the same thing. I'm getting point. Not that the points matter. It's +1. It's just pick him at that point. But, I mean, I suppose you can get a push in there. Give me Baltimore +1.
All right. Look, I bunched up my last 2. So I'll have the last 2, and then you'll have the last 2 here. It's the same player. Antonio Gibson, over 15.5 receiving yards. He had that in his 1 catch for 73 yards and a touchdown last week. And over 9.5 as his longest reception. So not in love with longest receptions and all those things, but 9.5 and 15.5 total. He could get all of this on one, a 20-yard catch. So I love when you can double up. And you know what? I parlay them together if I can.
Okay, a little same game parlay. My last 2 are receiving yards bets, and one of them's a wide receiver, one of them is a running back. You talked about the exploitable matchup with Arizona And if Hopkins is go, Ramsey's going to be locked up on him. Ramsey might move around if Hopkins for some reason wasn't, but I think you're kind of locked into that. And Christian Kirk has been a dude this year. He has been a dude, even though he's been inconsistent in his career, and that's been part of the problem. He has been a dude to the tune of having no less than 65 yards per game in each of the games. Even he had 4 targets when he got 65, his lowest. He had 8 targets in his last one, caught 7 balls for 104 yards. He's averaged over 14 yards per reception. And his receiving prop is set at 42.5 this week, where Kyler Murray, even if they're playing from behind, it's going to be garbage time. And if he has to look in another direction, Christian Kirk has been a relative constant. I like the receiving prop, and I'm going to end with a running back prop. I actually had Jonathan Taylor in as someone I really liked. Came up a little bit banged up, so I don't know how much I like the revenge narrative this week, but Miami loves to give up points to running backs, and Nahim Heinz is out there, and Nahim Heinz's receiving yard prop is 23.5. Love that one. Nahim Heinz, I just went away from it because of Christian Kirk. He's done that in 2 of the games. 2 of the games against Seattle, he had 8 targets for 48 receiving yards on 6 catches. Against Tennessee, 54 yards receiving on 6 targets with 5 catches. Against the Rams, he was relegated to just 2 targets for only 17 yards, but you're not that far off. If Jonathan Taylor is banged up at all and misses a little bit of time, Miami likes to give up points to running backs. Nahim Heinz receiving prop, really, really like that one. And Boggs, those are our 10 best bets for week 4. We'll see how we do. And we'll see if people fade us. Let us know. You can fade us. And
we'll know pretty quick. Yeah,
we'll know pretty quick exactly how that went. Last up is some DFS plays. Bogman has got the DK. I have got the Fanduel. So, Boggs, why don't you tell us about some of your favorite plays, whether they're values or big money? I will tell you, I'm going to go with some of my favorite big money guys on Fanduel and then some of the nice values that I like.
I'm just going to go with values because I think, the guys stay kind of the same prices on DK most weeks. So I'm just going to go with some of the values here. And quarterback, I got Matt Ryan against Washington at 5,400. I know that I said this before I looked at LineStar. I know LineStar likes him for their app. So
I think he's one of the top values for LineStar.
Yeah, just $5,400 is just a great value. That's a great app too for LineStar. But
I love, by the way, Matt Ryan. He was my guy last week. That was why I got myself screwed, because I was like, let's go over at Atlanta. Let's stack Matt Ryan. Yeah. And now this is the week that everybody likes that play.
Well, Washington's defense has not been playing up to what we thought it was.
Calvin Ridley's got to explode. I mean, I'm in on Kyle Pitts this week.
And Kyle Pitts. And Mike Davis has got to catch the ball. And they have Patterson.
He doesn't have to. Patterson. It's Patterson.
Okay. But
Mike Davis is so bad.
Look, all right, keep saying that. Zack Moss
so bad.
versus Houston, 5,300. We know that he's better than Singletary. They like him more. They're going to score a bunch of points against Houston. So let's just hope that Dawson Knox catches them balls and then gets knocked down at the 1, and Zack Moss can pound it in, or Josh Allen.
Hey, if I get 24 yards from Dawson Knox, do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I would prefer the touchdown, to be honest with you, because I got Josh Allen in every single fantasy league this year. So let's keep that up. And in the guillotine league, which we play.
That's why I said, or Josh Allen gets a touchdown, because I have a couple shares of Josh Allen too. Emmanuel Sanders versus Houston, $4,900. Like, he scored 2 touchdowns and they're still not raising his price that much. So don't really understand that one. I also got another wide receiver value for you. We talked about how Julio and AJ Brown are going to be most likely down for Tennessee.
Yeah.
$3,200 for Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I mean, he led them in snaps last week anyway. And even if these guys play, they're going to be limited. So I think Westbrook could be a good play, even if they both play. He'll probably see the most snaps because a lot of those will be blocking for AJ Brown, for Derrick Henry, excuse me. But, he'll be on the field and getting opportunities. And this is a guy that I've been championing since before the season started, but he's breaking out, scored 2 touchdowns on Monday Night Football. Dalton Schultz at $3,400. I know everyone still loves Blake Jarwin, but Schultz is their guy, and they've designed plays for him in the red zone. $3,400 is cheap. So
Dak likes to get the ball to him.
Absolutely.
I had this thing that happened. It was last week or the week before, where I was looking at that Dalton Schultz anytime touchdown, because it was like plus 700. I was like, man, that one looks fun. I'm like, nah. And then just boom, Dalton Schultz touchdown. So it's brutal. Some good plays. On this one of the top, again, if you want to, just free promotion to our friends at Line Star. And also, I would say of all the things, you go to your models, you do your stuff. We're talking about what we like. There's lots of great betting sites. There's lots of great algorithm-based sites that you can check out stuff. But Russell Wilson is favorable regardless of price this week, and I don't think he's too expensive. A secondary quarterback I like is Sam Darnold, because I think Sam Darnold is going to be able to do some stuff versus the Cowboys. That's why, now that I think about it, the one I've been most inconsistent about has been that Dallas Carolina under. So I'm a little bit worried about it, but because I think Darnold is going to be able to throw the ball and going to need to throw the ball. He could still throw for 3 touchdowns, and Dallas can throw for 4, and that game doesn't have to go over. I can still do that. But Darnold is a relatively cheap quarterback that I dig this week on a Robbie Anderson.
You're in on Carolina this week, just overall.
I am. I really am. And Chuba Hubbard would be one that I'm not mentioning. But Russell Wilson is $500 more on FanDuel than Sam Darnold. So Russell Wilson is one of my favorite plays. San Francisco 49ers secondary is completely destroyed. It's completely decimated. The only thing that's going to hurt that at all is the incredible defensive line the Niners have if they're all up in Russell Wilson's grill. But DK Metcalf is going to eat. You're going to see it from Tyler Lockett. So I like Russell Wilson a lot if you're paying up. On the running back side, I would pay up for Kamara. I think this is a Kamara week.
Yeah. And they went heavy on him last week too.
And I think it's going to go heavy again in all aspects. Catching, not saying this is going to be one of those 2-3 touchdown Kamara games, but it might be one of those 2-3 Kamara touchdown games. So I'm paying up for him. On the cheap side, one of my absolutely favorite plays, I just told you about him in the props, is Nahim Heinz, only 5,300 on the cheap. If he does get some rushes, he's going to get some passes, scoring touchdown, and the Dolphins give up all the points to running backs. And a third little one, Zack Moss, who you mentioned, is 6,000 on FanDuel. I really like him, and he's very favorable on the FanDuel algorithm of values on a lot of spots. Wide receivers, DK Metcalf, 7,700. Boom. Stack him with Debo in the same game, 6,900. Whammy. Those are going to be some of the best values. Just whammy. And Robbie Anderson. Again, I have no great anything to break down for Robbie Anderson, but he's 5,700, and I think he's going to bounce back in at tight end. Dawson Knox, 5,600. That's going to be a play. Houston, Josh Allen, big week. And there you go. Those are some of my favorite FanDuel plays, some of Bogman's favorite DK plays, top bets, and how to exploit some matchups here on Bet This League. And we'll see how much we're crying next week. I was crying last week. I mean, we're, like I said, this ain't, your whatever, FTN and all of the guru and sports grid, those guys are rocking. We're talking to you about what we like, and you can play or fade. I do want to see the screenshot on the Eli stuff, though. I want to see who did the best Eli Manning breakdown. And we'll track with you, and we'll let you know how we did. We've also got a DK lineup and matchup. We do a contest, 30. We've gone 30 deep. We may even go more if we keep getting it. So a reason to sign up on Patreon, patreon.com/ITLArmy, weekly DK lineup, prop sheet stuff. And Bogman, I would implore you next week, you can bring college bets to this. I don't think it has to just be NFL. If it's I'd be throw maybe 1 or 2 in sprinkling, especially if we're doing top 10 bets. I mean,
Moyes gave the best one of the week yesterday. The Army against Ball State is the best game of the week.
I'd like to see 1 or 2 college bets in each of these, even though it is a kind of NFL show. I think that would be pretty good. And another one. This is this is a task I'm putting on you. I told you about. You didn't even know.
I love tasks.
I know you do. But this is one you're going to like.
I'm just screwing with you.
This is one you're going to like. When I told you that DK, you can do tackling. You can do IDP-based props. I did the Fred Warner 7.5 tackles and hit it. I'd love if they're out there on the Thursdays, take a look. Love to see some IDP props if you have any for us next week.
Okay. So, yeah, I will definitely look into them for sure.
All right, that's it. ITL Fantasy Football Podcast, our off-brand version of Bet This League. Fade, play, do whatever you got, make some money, have a great weekend, and we will talk to you on Monday on In This League. Peace.
See ya.